The closer one gets to retirement, the more important it is to start seriously thinking about a retirement budget. It's important to understand how much the typical retiree spends each month. And we have one of the absolute experts on this issue, Ernie Burns from Burns Estate Planning and Wealth Advisors, to walk us through this. Good morning to you.
Morning.
So what should a retiree spend month to month?
Well, the first thing you want to look at is getting rid of debts. And you've heard this, we talked about it before many, many times, but get rid of the high interest rate credit cards, any type of HELOCs that you might have. Spend down your debt, because every dollar you're not paying a bill is money saved in your pocket. So that's the first thing you need to consider.
So once you get those fixed expenses under control or into account, where do you go then?
What type of retirement you want to live? Do you want to basically spend time with your grandchildren, your hobbies, or just fishing and hunting a little bit? Or do you want to travel around the world and spend a lot of money in that manner? So you have to have two different type of retirements there. So therefore, depending on what type of retirement you have, what type of savings you have to in order to have that. So to do that, we sit down with clients and build retirement systems to see if you're able to do it and when you're able to do it.
And you find people who, all across the spectrum, I'm sure.
Yes.
Somebody who comes in thinks they're ready for retirement and they walk out of your office with their eyes wide open like, whoa.
Not too often, but every now and then, I'm saying unfortunately we see nothing but retirees or pre-retirees. About once a month, one of my advisors or myself have to tell somebody they need to work another year or 2 years or 3 years, because the type of retirement they want to live, they're not prepared for.
And you know, like you mentioned, it runs the gamut where somebody on the one hand might say, I want to take cruises, like, you know, a big portion of the year, and someone else might say, I really want to give something to my kids and my grandchildren.
Yes, so that's when estate planning really comes in too. So you want to spend and have a great retirement, but you want to leave a legacy behind. Make sure you have the proper legal documents ahead of you.
All right, so let's talk about the really dicey part of this. When you've saved a certain amount of money, what percentage of that money do you dip into each year?
Most financial advisors, and we do too, suggest anywhere to 4 to 7% a year. So therefore your money needs to be making that type of return, so you're not spending down principal. So how you invest is very, very creative and very, very specific in matters of what's happening in the markets now. So you don't want to take as much risk as you've done in the past 30 or 40 years when you were working, but in the same instance, your money needs to be making above inflation and hopefully able to make the interest you're spending in retirement.
If you do encounter somebody who thinks they're ready for retirement, or they hope they are, and they find out they're not, what advice do you give people?
Very beginning. They're usually not, because they still have too much debt. Now the house is one thing you can still write off the interest, and that's always creative because what interest rates you have, therefore your money should be making more than that. But in the same instance, what type of retirement you want to live in retirement.
Gotcha. All right, Ernie Burns, good stuff. Thank you.
Right,
Thanks
thank
as
you.
always.